Are you ready to make some noise? Then please clap, cheer, whoop and holler if you brought drums to the gig. Now's the time to use them as you make as much chaos in oral noise sound. Got a bit tied up in that sentence there. It was quite complicated. So anyway, welcome to the stage, Andrew O'Neill! Lovely song there about some things that are not unusual. So, flies! So good evening, ladies and gents, thank you very much. Very much for coming in. How are you? You well? What's your name? Andy, good to meet you, Andy. Hello, what's your name? Are you well? Yeah, hello, good. What's your name? Anna, do you want to fight? Fight, you're fucking fighting, you're fucking fighting. You, me, outside, do you want to fight? Do you like heirloom food? Because that's where you're going to end up. Oh, tonight, hospital food, right, because where you're going to end up. I made an error. But you will find that airlines and hospitals often source their food from the same centralised catering companies, particularly if you live near an airport. So good evening! Some songs for the colourblind. I see trees are green, red roses too, they're green as well. What can you do? And I think to myself, why don't I become a bomb disposal expert? What do you mean colour red wine? They're all red. Just run, yeah! Oh, the leaves are brown, and the sky is brown, and the sky is brown. I see a red door and I want to paint it black. It's a different tones, isn't it? Colourblind, I'm not an idiot. So, flies! Right, are you looking at me or chewing a brick, right? Because either way, you're probably not going to finish building that wall. So, red and yellow and pink and green, purple and orange and blue, apparently. Songs for the colourblind. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming out to the show. Now, the one thing we know, of course, about the kingdom of the blind is that the one-eyed man is king. Everyone knows that about the kingdom of the blind, that we know that the one-eyed man is king. If I was to ask you, what's the one thing you know about the kingdom of the blind, you would reply that. Just the word king. You've reduced the whole concept into one word. That's good, that's excellent, that's good for the environment, possibly. The whole sentence, but you can't do everything in the front row, can you? They're in the front row for a reason, because they're over-enthusiastic. So, they're the ones that pay the bills. Now, so the kingdom of the blind, we know that the one-eyed man is king. We don't know anything else about the kingdom of the blind, no, do we? Where it is, what are its major exports? So, but looking into it, I mean, we all know that the kingdom of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. You've all heard that before. There are other countries. If I was to ask you, what's the one thing you know about the kingdom of the blind, you would reply that. The one-eyed man is king, correct? And if I was to ask you, what do you know about Guatemala? Fuck all, exactly. So, the knowledge of the kingdom of the blind is broad but not deep. So, I've been looking into it. One thing we can establish about the kingdom of the blind without any further research, simply from the fact that we know that in the kingdom of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. In the kingdom of the blind, they have a fairly loose definition of the word king. Blind. Oh, fuck that up. Oh, no. Oh, fucked it up right at the beginning as well. really early on in the show for a fuck up there. So I've got to abandon this bit of material. Okay, for my emergency joke. So, my mother-in-law is so fat. We had her killed. So, emergency joke worked. So, I got a loose definition of the word blind. It's not as funny, but we'll fucking go with it. Now I fucked it up. Because he's not blind, is he? He's got one eye. The king's got one. He's not blind. It's not blindness. It's a disability. It will hamper your full enjoyment of the film Avatar. It's not blindness, is it? He's not going to get a free TV license. Actually, he's the king, isn't he? Of course he gets a free TV license. But do they have tellies in the Kingdom of the Blind? Probably not. Just be teasing them, wouldn't it? So, anyway, so I've looked into it. There are some more facts I've established about the Kingdom of the Blind. In the Kingdom of the Blind, the one-eyed man is king. A lot of the top government jobs are taken by guide dogs. In the Kingdom of the Blind, the one-eyed man is king. He is also the king in the Kingdom of the one-eyed people. It's just coincidence, that's just through marriage. The Kingdom of the Blind, people who can make out vague shapes generally do pretty well. There are no curbs. Sensible. In the Kingdom of the Blind, stealing someone else's perfume is considered identity theft. Mime is illegal. And the deaf are hunted down for sport. So, flies! On's a verb. So, right, I'm going to eat so hard, right, it's probably going to hurt me a bit as well. I'm rubbish at starting fights. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming out to my show. Give me a shout if you've seen me doing comedy before. Give me a shout if you haven't seen me doing comedy before. Quite a few of you. Well, this is what it's like, so fucking strap in. For those of you that haven't seen me doing comedy before, I am dressed like this on purpose. I've just woken up from my own stag do. I am a transvestite, although I don't really like the word transvestite. I don't sound too politically correct. I prefer the phrase clothes weirdo or dickhead annoyer. Alpha male shout generator. Any of those will do. We've been drinking throughout my show. Who's drinking? Not very professional of me, I'm aware of that, to drink while I'm performing, but I do have a genetic condition whereby my body doesn't produce its own booze. So on medical advice, I'm forced to take a supplement. So, fundamentalist Muslim lady ninja, how do you know which are your work clothes? So good evening, welcome. Now, so my show is called, the show's called Alternative. Now I've made quite a lot of alternative choices in my life. When I was a kid, I grew up in a kind of suburban environment, grew up in Wallington, in South London, and it's a bit boring. I wanted to escape, and I think like most people, I pictured my escape in terms of fictions, I suppose. I was really into sort of science fiction when I was a kid, and I sort of projected my means of escape onto that when I was a kid. Like most boys of my generation, I wanted to be Luke Skywalker, you know, I wanted to be Han Solo, and I wanted to be Princess Leia. Right, and then I got into music. I got into Queen, my first favourite band. Then I wanted to be the front man in a band like Freddie Mercury. Then I got into Jimi Hendrix. I wanted to play the guitar like Jimi Hendrix, and I've achieved both those ambitions. Then I got into Public Enemy, and I wanted to be a politically strident black guy. I'm glad to say I've achieved all those ambitions. Now, then I got into heavy metal. Now, metalheads give me a shout. Quite a few, that's good. Favourite metal band, shout them out. Bolt Thrower, you fucking cunts. You fucking teasing. Bolt Thrower are doing a rare gig when I'm in Australia, and fucking Autopsy are playing as well, and you arsehole. Now, I'm aware now 3/4 of the audience are going, what the fuck? That's what happens when I watch The Only Way is Essex. So, I'm looking at it going, this isn't for me, I don't know what's going on. That's what popular culture feels like for the metalheads. Basically, other favourite band, shout them out. Mastodon, what was that one? Phantomas. Quite classy metal, but keep coming. Wotain. Oh, fuck yeah. Did you see them here? Yeah, they're still at the back. Trying to get clean. It's a very good joke if you know who they are. Being a metalhead, it does I think change your life. It's changed my life. Most of my clothing is black, which means it takes me an extra 10, 15, 20 minutes to get ready on any given day. It's my black shirt and the pile of black things in the dark corner, okay? I'll be sometime. I didn't realise how much black clothing I owned until I did some gigs in Australia last year and nearly died. Do get quite hot. I think it's quite metal to have a black beach towel. What's not particularly metal, on the other hand, is whilst snorkeling, to become terrified of your own hair. Yeah, that really happened, yeah. So having a lovely time swimming around, looking at crabs and fish, turn the corner and fucking away! Oh, that's just my hair, right, fine. Lovecraftian demon, okay. I'll sit back on my black towel. Oh, hot! So, it takes its toll. I mean, I've sustained injuries in this very venue. I went to see Sick of It All, and someone kicked me as they went past, broke my tooth in half, and then Pete Collar flicked the crown of my tooth across this very stage. Punk rock. The non-metal people are now going, what the fuck? None of that will happen here. There'll be almost no stage diving. So, maybe a little bit later on, we'll see how the night goes. So yeah, I've been in bands for most of my life, and there's a thing anyone that's ever been in a band will know this. When you're carrying a guitar, you become a magnet for middle-aged men with no social skills. Standing at a bus stop holding a guitar in a guitar-shaped bag, they just glide up to you wearing a brown leather jacket and a ball top. That guitar, is it? In a guitar bag, yeah. Fucking brilliant, well done. This isn't Prohibition Chicago, I've got a musical instrument in this musical instrument case. Alright, you in a band, you've done it again. Fucking Sherlock Holmes, well done. I'm carrying a guitar, I am in a band. Brilliant, alright. You sing, you sing it? Well, I do vocals, alright. And then there's a beat before it gets sexual. Get the groupies here? Pull the birds? No. I'm in a death metal band. The sort of vocals I do aren't particularly conducive to chatting up women. I shall demonstrate. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to sing a song now by one of my favourite bands, and I hope they're one of yours. Cannibal Corpse. Their classic tune, Hammer Smashed Face. Goes out to this beautiful lady here. Something inside me. It's coming out. I feel like killing you. Listen me after, I'll put along, my blood runs cold. End of the evening, she will be mine. So I made various choices over the course of my life, because when I was a kid, the life that seemed to be open to me, the life that most people around me seemed to be heading towards, was a life that involved getting married, having a semi-detached house, doing a boring job in the week, selling the hours of your life away, and then the weekend consists mainly of garden centres and B&Q. Fuck that, right? So for most of my life, I've tried to find ways to jump the groove of my everyday life, to make it a kind of richer experience. And one of the ways I did that is through hitchhiking. Now, they say you can't hitchhike anymore, don't they? They say you can't hitchhike anymore. They say you can't hitchhike anymore, don't they? Then they say you can't hitchhike anymore. I say, Andrew, I say what? I say you can't hitchhike anymore. I say, yeah, I've heard that. I say, it's too dangerous, isn't it? They say, it's too dangerous. It's too dangerous, they say. You'll be bummed to death. Now, I've done a lot of hitchhiking in my time, ladies and gents, and I'm proud to announce I've never been bummed to death. I've been bummed, of course, I mean. I'm not a Mormon. It's never been fatal. It's never been against my will. They've tried, don't get me wrong. I mean, don't hitchhike looking this pretty without some attempts, but they're on a hiding to nothing, ladies and gents. I'm proud to announce tonight that I have the tightest ring piece known to medical science. There's nothing doing there. It'd be like trying to push a sausage through a polo mint. I'm trying to get a V2 rocket in a dolphin's blowhole with just I'm trying to microwave a whole tiger. I'm trying to get a condom on a warship. It's just... Right, subsequently attempting to post that warship using standard Royal Mail delivery rates. Like Henry VIII's trying to hide in the hotel room fridge. Right, Jeff Cape's trying to put on a child-sized wetsuit. Like the Elephant Man trying to put on a swimming cap. Everybody's been so kind, but I shall forego swimming for today, because it is a private members' pool, and the rules of the pool clearly state that one must wear a swimming cap. Like that. Right, trying to get a 1.5 inch audio jack into a 3/4 inch audio socket. Be like Joe Pesci. Be like Jordan in a training bra. Be like Wolf in a Smarties tube. Be like a swan trying to use a pita bread as a sort of makeshift sleeping bag. Trying to hide a wine bottle in your wallets. Like trying to get a pea inside another pea. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger writing out his full name on the back of a postage stamp. Using like a really thick marker pen. Like the entire population of China all going to see Billy Elliot on the same night. Really small regional theatre. Like trying to get a thing of a particular size inside something else that's too small to accommodate it. Be like stretching out one single idea far beyond, but it's still naturally funny. So, thank you very much. Not quite enough clapping for me to get some booze in, that's fine. That's all. That feels really cheap now. That feels like the round of applause. Like the round of applause you get on a children's TV show, you know. Now we've got Bros. Who are they? I don't know. Just glad we're excited to be here. So there are rules of hitchhiking, of course. Rule number 1 of hitchhiking: gentlemen, don't cross-dress. I mean, it swings and roundabouts. You will get picked up quicker if you do, but you won't make your destination. There's a lot of anger and recriminations involved. Rule number 2 of hitchhiking: make a sign. Make a sign with your approximate destination on it and take it down to a road. You do have to go down to a road, that is key. You can't just hitchhike from your bedroom, sat there with your thumb out, hoping. Someone will pass with binoculars perhaps in the van. That's not the sort of person you want to pick you up. Rule number 3 of hitchhiking: when someone offers you a lift, have a brief chat with them. Ask them where they're going, ask them what their name is, and in that exchange of a few words, you'll get the measure of the person. We're very good, we're very evolved to detect danger in other people, and in that exchange of a few words, you'll get the measure of them. You'll basically, pretty good odds you'll perceive that if they pose a threat, basically you'll work out whether or not they'll try and bum you. the final rule of hitchhiking, of course, is if at any point you feel uncomfortable, ask them to stop. Which is starting a rule of bumming as well, there. There are more bumming jokes in this show than I'm strictly proud of. Basically, while I was writing the show, if I saw an opportunity, I just slipped one in. You might be a bit uncomfortable with the bumming jokes at first, but just relax, keep breathing, and you'll get into them. Don't tense up, you won't enjoy them. Have a couple more drinks in the break, you might help me to loosen up. So I have done a lot of hitchhiking. The first hitchhike I did was to the Edinburgh Fringe, from London up to Edinburgh. And I did it in a single day. It was really easy. It was kind of beginner's luck. I was picked up within 2 minutes of going down to Brent Cross. The first guy that picked me up was fairly dull. He was only going as far as Luton. Yeah, it's not a great lift, but I was excited. It works. I'll come. And he dropped me off. I got another lift with an electrician called Alan. He was all right. And then I got a third lift. The lift that took me most of the way took me to Glasgow. This wonderful guy, a truck driver called Brian, right? Because he was from Glasgow, it was actually pronounced Brian! Because he shouted, everything! Short of juice, yes, I'm only here! It's amazing, the most manly man I've ever met in my life. There is a scale of manliness called the Brian scale, very much on the Brian Mulco from Placebo end. He's up there with Brian Blessed, a huge beast of a man. He's massive. I think he was mainly bladder. In the 5 hours I spent in his company, he didn't go for a piss once. So kind of anti-camel. It was amazing. And he loved his truck. He was so enthusiastic about driving. I love my truck. I love my truck. I mean, if I'm not on my truck, I can't relax. You know what I mean? You go on holiday, you can relax. I've gone on holiday, I can't relax. I mean, last year I went to America, I couldn't relax. You know? I mean, we didn't look at trucks. We went to truck shows and truck stops. I mean, I drove the wife, mate. You know what I mean? We all went fishing last week. I couldn't relax. I mean, I really love my truck. I mean, I've got a picture of a truck tattooed on my leg and the word truck tattooed on my other leg. I've got a little boy. I want to call him truck. What should you call him? Dennis. Amazing bloke. He might have been on speed to keep him awake. Now, I've met all sorts of people up and down the country. I've met doctors, nurses, a lot of military people, of ex-military people. A guy who used to be a pilot for the Red Cross. In Bosnia, he used to do bombing runs for the Red Cross. No, that doesn't sound right, does it? All sorts of people, and the currency of hitchhiking is conversation. That's how you pay your way. Most people that pick you up are professional drivers, people doing the same journey again and again. They often open up to you. I met a guy who grew up with one of the 7-7 bombers, came from the same part of town as him, and tell you all about his background. And not everyone wants to talk, but most people do. I met a few weirdos. There was a woman who picked me up once, the only woman that's ever picked me up while I've been hitching. And immediately I sort of thought, why has she done that? That's quite a bad move on her part. It's a stupid thing for a woman on her own to pick up a hitchhiker, you know? I mean, I didn't tell her that. You've made a terrible error. Have you told people where you're going? It's not the sort of mood you want to set, is it? But I sort of thought, I did think, what the fuck? It's a stupid thing to do. Don't do this again, right? But do keep doing it until we get where we're going. And I sort of thought, I'll find something out about her that will kind of explain it. I have this thing with quite a lot of people. Sometimes you meet someone, I don't know if you have it as well. Sometimes when you meet someone, there's a piece of the puzzle missing. There's one detail you don't know about them. When you find it out, you kind of go, oh, that kind of gives some context. Sometimes it's as simple as someone's sexuality. You know, I've got quite a crap gaydar. Sometimes I'm like, oh, he's gay. Oh. Well, that explains the hot pants. It's a true story, actually. I used to work at a shop at a university. This bloke came in day after day, and we'd chat quite a bit. And one day he came in during the summer, wearing what can only be adequately described as alarmingly short hot pants. And so, that's a lot of legs. Not 2. Almost all of them. And so I said to my mate I was working with, what's with the hot pants? He went, he's gay, isn't he? I went, oh. He's normally so well dressed. Yeah, that'll be it. So, this woman didn't want to talk, right? And no, she did want to talk. She was weird, and I couldn't work out why. That's right. And I sort of thinking, I'm going to find something about her. I'm going to find out something about her, and they'll explain what's weird about her, because she seemed really normal. She lived in London. She was from Sheffield. That's where she was dropping me off. She had a cat, she lived on her own, she worked in admin, worked in an office. Everything about her was really mainstream, really normal, nothing out of the ordinary, nothing that seemed weird, nothing that seemed to kind of explain why she would make such a weird decision. And we were kind of getting on all right. I didn't particularly like her, she was fairly dull, but the conversation was flowing quite nicely. And then we weren't far from Sheffield, where she was going to drop me off. And I said, so, you said you're from Sheffield, are you going to visit family? She went, no, I'm going to see Elton John. I said, oh, okay. Have you seen Elton John before? She went, 47 times this year. I think I'll be fine here, I think I'm alright. But not everyone wants to talk. This one guy picked me up. He was from the East End of London. He was a proper Cockney. He was wearing a shell suit, which I thought was a bold move for 2006. It's kind of sea green shell suit. He had a kind of John Pertwee hairstyle. He had an alcoholic's nose. In his glove box. Hey! In his glove box. You stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. You at the end of the bus, stand up, stand up. Now dance! That's it. Now, some people reckon that what I've done there was stop us back and reveal that. Some people reckon it's a cheap way of getting a go. Don't fucking stop, right? It's a cheap way of getting a laugh. That's what I've done there. So set the scene. Oh, hang on. Hang on, hold your horses. Dance! Now, what reveal is it gives you a certain amount of information. What that does is it brings a picture in your mind. And then I give you an extra detail, and that changes the picture slightly, your brain fuck, and you laugh. Now, usually people think it's a kind of sort of quite old school thing. It's just tiring, isn't it? It's and you stop fucking dance! Fucking dance! Okay, you can sit down now. This bloke didn't want to talk, right? I get in, and I said, hello, my name's Andrew. He went, what? And you are? And I said, what are you driving? Now that's a little bit of the lingo of the road, right? People who are professional drivers, they don't say what you're delivering, right? They say, what are you driving? It means, what's his payload? He went, a van. Right, prick. And I pride myself that I can converse with pretty much anyone. All you need to do is just keep asking questions, keep asking kind of open questions. Eventually, you'll come across something that they want to talk about. And he was giving me nothing, right? So I said, so what are you delivering? He went, electrical parts. Okay, right. You delivering them, or you dropping them off? Are you fitting them? Fitting them. Okay, right. Do you do a lot of that sort of thing? No. Okay, so have you got a family? Are you married? Have you got kids? Yeah, I've got a couple of kids. Okay, right, how old are they? Oh, they're all grown up now. Right. Said, do you see a lot of them? And he genuinely said, no, I don't like them. What a dick, right? I mean, she'll have them over at Christmas like, but I don't want to know. You were a penis. So I'm running out of things to ask him. I'm getting quite desperate at this stage. So, do you belong to a library? Who's your favourite Doctor Who? I'm guessing John Pertwee. He's giving me nothing, right? And then not far from Leeds, again, far too late in the journey for it to be really kind of useful. I tried just maintaining a comfortable silence, but the silence was so palpably uncomfortable between us. It was sort of physically there in the car with us. So we're not far from Leeds. I said, so do you have a boss, do you? You work for yourself, you got a boss? And then like Pandora's box. Oh, fucking hell, have I got a boss? Oh, it's the tightest bloke I've ever met in the world. Wears slippers in the office, can you believe it? You're wearing a shell suit, you prick. But I've learned an awful lot from these kind of conversations I have while hitchhiking with people. I know more about Michael Jackson than I previously knew, because my big passion in life is music, and I find that if someone else is really into music, that's the kind of common ground we have. Any Michael Jackson fans in? Yeah, it's not as popular as he used to be, but fair play. You might well know this, that for every song Michael Jackson wrote, he had an alternative title. So he had a kind of working title while he was working on the songs. Then when he felt the song was finished and he could sign it off and let other people hear it, he gave it the title we'll are familiar with. So like the Michael Jackson song Bad was originally called Rubbish. Thriller was called Horror Film. Billie Jean was called That Tennis Lady. You You literally shout out any Michael Jackson song title, I'll tell you what it was originally called. Go!
The Girl Is Mine.
The Girl Is Mine was called Nothing to Do with Me, mate. It's a sort of a song about her over an argument with someone in a chip shop after a club night. It's like, fuck off.
Beat it!
Pardon?
Beat it!
Beat it, it's just called fuck off.
Smooth criminal!
Smooth criminal, shaved villain. Or slippery burglar. Bumming joke. So, Earth song was called Venus Song. Gonna scar myself a victory, gonna get myself to Venus, gonna find myself a lady, I'm gonna touch it on the penis. And management vetoed it as being sexually naive. Man in the Mirror we had there was originally called Manifestation of My Dissociative Multiple Personality Disorder. I'm talking to the manifestation. Oh, it scans quite well. Couple more. Diana, Smelly Susan. Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. It was originally called Finish Yourself Off, Love. Iberian Girl, Librarians. Grrr! That was called Bend Over. Black or White was originally called Black. He wrote it when he was a kid. Speed demon, amphetamine, junkie.
You're not alone.
I know, I'm doing a gig, mate. Oh, my milkman is a Satanist, that's why he only sells goat's milk. He dyes it black with black food colouring. He's gone out of business. So the last job I did before I did stand-up full-time was working in the Cabinet War Rooms and Churchill Museums. Anyone been? Yeah, it's a cool place, isn't it? It's the bunker where Winston Churchill fought the Second World War. I say fought. I don't know any Germans in there. Basically admin, but like most jobs, it's a cool place to visit, but because it's a job and going back day after day, the job became very routine, so I had to find ways to jump myself out of it, ways to make my day more full of kind of alternative moments. And one of the best ways to do that in any given job, particularly when you work in a museum, is to lie to people. So in the Cabinet War Rooms we had a World War II German bomb that hung up above the entrance doorway that was dug up outside. And the number of people that came in and went, "Did that go off?" Yeah, it did, yeah. You wouldn't believe how long it took them to get it back into that condition. All these people think bombs do, and they go off, just a flap opens in the front and a boxing glove and a spring comes out. Oh, Germans! Amazing. While I was working there, I saw a young boy's thirst for knowledge get completely destroyed, right? Completely trampled on by his mum. He was so excited about coming in, he ran up to the counter, I was selling tickets, and he went, "Did this place ever get bombed?" And his mum went, "Don't ask questions." Yeah, I know, right? So I patiently explained to him that no, it never actually got bombed, and if it had done, because it was built in the early 30s, when ordnance was much smaller than the ones the Germans, than the ordnance that the Germans were using in the Blitz. If they scored a direct hit, it probably everyone would have died. He went, "Oh, thank you," and I kind of glared at it. Well, £10.50. Other people I lied to, I convinced my boss in the Cabinet War Rooms that Tom Jones is gay. Surprisingly easy to do. I find you just have to front it. Yeah, of course he's gay. Oh, okay. The leather trousers, the hips, the thrusting, the women throwing their knickers, what that's all about. Oh, okay. He's always asking questions, though, isn't he, Tom Jones? What's new, pussycat? Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's new, pussycat? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Why, Delilah? He's asking questions, isn't he, Tom Jones? People need answers, Tom! People need answers. So I shouted at him, Wembley Arena, 2006. Couldn't hear me. Waste of time. What I did is I filled up a water balloon with semen, right? And he started singing Sex Bomb. Legally nothing he can do, so... But my main method of keeping myself sane while doing this extremely routine job was lying to my colleagues. I convinced the woman I work with that the reason I wear glasses is because when I take them off, this happens. Now, it doesn't, right? My eyes don't do that. But if you do it, anyone that wears glasses, if you do it just with a real slickness, right? It's fucking, you've got to go boss-eyed, cross-eyed, everyone can go cross-eyed, but go boss-eyed and people really freak out. It's fucking brilliant. We're having a drink after work, right? She went, can I try your glasses? I went, yeah, there you go. She went, when people sort of laugh but try and contain it within their own head. So it's not to offend you. Jumping on a grenade. I've got it! Right? Fucking brilliant. So, I thought it was so funny, I kept it up for a year. Day after day week, oh, you got to come in on Sunday, I can't believe you got to do this fucking stock take, unbelievable, right? And then I told everyone else that worked in the cabinet war rooms what I was doing. So there'd be this wonderful sort of domino chain of her going, and then them trying not to laugh at her, trying not to laugh at me so they didn't give the game away, and then I'm trying not to laugh at them and her. It's brilliant. Now I've sort of subdued tension in there, it's incredible. One day I forgot my glasses and gave myself a headache. It's definitely worth it. And then literally on that final day, we're having a drink outside the same pub I'd originally told her the lie. I'm coming on, let me show you. She punched me in the dick. Be careful out there. But while I was working there, to kind of help keep myself sane, I tried to learn as much as I could about Winston Churchill and about World War II, mainly so I could argue more effectively with the American tourists that would come in going, I don't understand why he didn't vote Churchill back in after the war. Well, because we wanted the welfare state, he was a good wartime leader, wasn't a great peacetime leader. Well, I'd have been with him, well, you'd have lost as well. Because I met people from all around the world working this job, and before I started doing stand-up I wasn't very well travelled. I've always been sort of vehemently anti-racist, which is not a controversial opinion to express at a comedy gig. He said, what? Come on, we're leaving, fuck this. But it wasn't until I worked in the cabinet war rooms and met people literally from all around the world that had a kind of practical experience to back up this theoretical anti-racism. And I still believe to this day, it doesn't matter where people come from. Now, I've done a lot of travelling, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, what people's backgrounds are. I think human beings are all fundamentally cunts. It's just that foreign people are cunts in unfamiliar ways. That's the root of racism, you know? Americans are cunts in America. You don't say, oh, some English bloke come in the other day. You don't notice that he was English, but if he was French, you would mention it. So most of the people that came in were lovely, they're on holiday. Occasionally you can be an arsehole, but the Americans were arseholes in uniquely American ways, right? This woman came in once, I was working in the shop, she went, how much is this? Now, she's holding in her hand a fridge magnet. Now, in the shop we sold the finest selection of books on World War II in the country. She's gone for a knick-knack from our London-branded tap section. There's a fridge magnet with the London Underground logo on it, with the word London written through. Now, we all know that's not a stop. It is an inaccurate knick-knack. It is, if you like, knick-knackurate. Now, she said, how much is this? And I said, £3.50. She went, that's very expensive. Literally moving it away from me at the knee, right? It was like the Matrix. I was a bit startled, but okay, sorry, that's the price. I was a bloke with her, quite tall, mid-50s, the most perfect and elaborate comb-over I've ever seen in my life. It's an architectural delight. It wasn't windy in the cabinet war rooms that day, but you might like to imagine it was, just to add some visual flappy textures to the story. He said, and this is no exaggeration and no word of a lie, her father died in the Pacific fighting this war. She should have it for free. So when my brain switched back on, just give me a minute. No, it's still £3.50. And he walks off, genuinely muttering, one price of man's life. More than £3.50, I suspect. I'm not sure that's the reason he got involved in the conflict in the first place. The night before they all get kamikaze, they're sitting in their ship in their boats. What are you fighting for? We're going to stop Japanese imperialism. Pearl Harbor was just a start. What about you? We're going to stop the Nazis. They're rampaging through years' time, the Brits will give her one for free. It was worth it. So, but they weren't the worst, right? The worst was this old woman, very rich old American woman, ugly in ways that only the very rich get. So the gout has gone all the way up to the face, right? She'd had that sort of plastic surgery that leads me to believe there are three options when you go for plastic surgery. We can make you look younger, we can make you look more beautiful, or we can make you look sinister. Can make your face look wrong in ways people won't quite be able to work out. What about that one, please? Can you make some of my face look like it's further away than the rest of it? Yes, we can. We specialise in that. Right. So, this horrible looking woman sidled up to me in the Cabinet War Rooms, and she said two things. Like, the first was a boast. If you've ever heard a weirder boast, honestly, in real life, do tell me after the show, because you're not going to beat this. She sidled up to me and went, "We have a model of the Enola Gay." For those that aren't aware, that's the name of the plane that dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. Yeah, I didn't know what to do with that information either. What I did was I made this noise. I went, I think it's the appropriate noise for telling you about how they celebrated an atrocity. Or thinking, fuck me, you're wrong! Let's go to yours for a war party! Hey, come through to the yard, we have a whole model Auschwitz with smoking chimney. Nice. I like the diorama you've set up around the Enola Gay as well. It's brilliant. They've got the mushroom cloud there, you've got these Japanese school children, incredible detail. Am I right in thinking you can actually see the fear in their eyes? Yeah, I thought so. I thought, right, I'm going, but she had more. It's like a 1-2 in boxing or a special move in Street Fighter 2. Finish him. I know that's Mortal Kombat. I am mixing my beat-em-up similes, right? She then said, "You guys are lucky and not all speaking German." It's on. I said, "You're wrong. And you're wrong for three reasons. Firstly, it's arguable historically that Britain could have won the war without America's involvement. You certainly shortened the war, you certainly saved millions of lives. It is a tenuous historical point, but there are books written about it. The turning point of the war wasn't you joining, it was when Germany decided to take on Russia. Russia being such a vast country with such huge resources. By the time the Germans had got as far as Stalingrad, they overstretched their supply lines, winter set in, and they ran out of Yakult. An army marches on its stomach, right? So, that is according to my Yakult Book of World War II. Secondly, you didn't join the war to help us out. It wasn't an altruistic move on your part. It was only after Japan and Germany declared war on you, you went, "Oh, go on then, we'll have a war," right? In the meantime, you were selling us weapons. Not lending us weapons, but selling us weapons, which is a bit like seeing a mate getting marked and going, "That's right, Terry, I've got a knife." "Yeah, tenner. Pay me later, we'll organise some sort of deal." Thirdly, even if we had lost the war and been invaded, I still don't think we'd be speaking German, because the Germans didn't impose their language on the outlying countries they conquered. And even if they had done, we're not very good at languages in this country. Naive of you to expect the English to have learned that language even by now. She wasn't really listening by that point. Well, I guess we're all lucky we're not speaking German. No, you're not listening. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the first half of the show. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed it, come back for the second half of the show. You've been delightful up until now, so don't fuck that up. So it's an interval. It's basically free time. Do what you need to do. Although it is a wet break, so there are colouring books behind the bar. It's going to do what you need to do. Come back for the second half. That's been the first half. Thank you very much. So I wanted to do this thing where, because Metallica were the band that got me into metal. They're the band upon which I learned the guitar. And I wanted to do this thing where I was like, I'll get people to shout out any Metallica song, and I'll just play it, right? And then I thought, yeah, but I only know about half of them. So half the time that's gonna fucking fail. So I'm not doing it. Alright, everyone knows how to sound, man. That wasn't, but fuck off, Sananga. As if I even listened to that album more than once. There is no one in the world that can play anything on Sananga, because in order to play a song you have to listen to it several times. And I just went, the snare sounds like a ditch! The tarpaulin pulled over it and some chains on it. That's what millionaires go, let's do a record that sounds raw! Okay, let's make it sound shit, fine. Anyway. When I was a kid, my notion of what was possible was definitely shaped by my parents. Your dads have broad horizons if you know for a fact that your dad's been to the moon. Maybe I got arrogant when I was a kid. What did your dad do for a living? Quite high up in WH Smith's. Awesome. My dad, nothing much. It's only a fucking spaceman. The Americans, they had astronauts. The Russians, they have cosmonauts. We have fucking spacemanauts. He doesn't do it anymore, I tell the kids at school. It's a young man's game. He works in a plastics factory in Red Hill. It's pretty high-tech stuff. You know Jurassic Park? And the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park? Yeah, they don't do those. They make the boxes for the videos. They look like they're made out of stone, but they're made of plastic. It affected every part of my life. My dad used to wear a spaceman uniform to special events like school fates. I have his picture taken with all the kids, against their will most of the time. I think they found him quite frightening, particularly when he did his space voice. Please don't do your space voice, Dad, I'm having trouble making friends as it is. And of course in high school the bullying started. The kids telling me my dad hadn't really been to the moon. Conspiracy theorists, my dad called him. I showed him the video he'd made of his moon landing. If anything, that made things worse. I said stuff like, the gravity's all wrong. The shadows are the wrong angles. You can't smoke on the moon. It's not illegal, just impossible. There's no atmosphere for the tobacco to burn. So I confronted him and the truth spilled out. He'd been lying all along. He hadn't meant to lie, it was a fib he told in the 60s that got out of control. In hindsight, it should have been obvious. There were some telltale signs. There's no such rank as moon captain. There are no pubs on the moon. Some repeated assertion that you couldn't get ball scratchings for love nor money seemed out of place, if technically accurate. Explain why his book, I Went to the Bloody Moon Me, is the only book in Wallington Public Library in handwriting. suspiciously like a 1970s Ford Cortina covered in tinfoil. That won't get you to the moon. It struggled to get us to Cornwall. 5 hours spent on the side of the road. There's no RAC in space. He told the lie in the first place because he wanted to meet the Beatles. It's a working class man in Wolverhampton in the mid-60s. It's the only scheme he could come up with. He thought would work to give him contact with that glittering world of show business. He didn't go directly, of course. He's not an idiot. He went via people like Cilla Black, Jimmy Tarbuck, Brian Epstein. In the end, of course, the plan backfired. The Beatles ignored him. He has been stalked ever since by Jerry and the Pacemakers. Jerry won't leave him alone, but the pacemakers have since lost interest. Vowel, vowel, consonant, 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 vowel, vowel, the red one, now the green one's clearer. Now they're both the same. Vowel and consonant. No, I've got nothing. So, the second time I ever hitchhiked was a repeat journey. It was back to the Edinburgh Fringe. The first time I got to Glasgow in 8 hours. It'd been an absolute piece of piss. Brian got me to Glasgow, and I thought it was going to be easy. I was cocky. I was overconfident. I went down to Brent Cross quite late. I had a fairly lazy breakfast. I got up quite late. I ambled down to Brent Cross. Must name saying Edinburgh. I thought it was going to be easy. The previous time I got to Glasgow without having to wait more than 2 minutes for any single lift. I thought it was going to be a piece of piss. And I waited at the bottom of the M1 at Brent Cross for an hour and a half before I got my first lift. That's a long time to wait for the kindness of strangers to take you on a journey. And for the first half hour you're fairly philosophical. Oh, the next one will be mine, the next one will be mine. You're quite chipper, counting cars, trying to find a way to pass the time. Then after half an hour you get quite fucked off. You sort of beat yourself up a little bit. I'm an idiot. Why did I do this? I should have just got a cheap coach. And then after another half hour you get angry at everyone that's not picking you up. I don't care if you're only going to Luton. If you don't pick me up, you are a cunt. Count the empty seats as they go past, and then after a while you turn it back on yourself again. Now maybe it is my fault, maybe I'm doing it wrong, maybe I should make a bigger sign. So I make a bigger sign. Maybe Edinburgh on the sign is too specific, so I put the north. Hopefully, if someone's only going halfway, they're more likely to think they're being useful. Maybe I should walk a few paces down the slip road, give them a couple more minutes to make a couple more seconds to make their decision. Maybe I should wash the blood off my face. All of this goes through your mind, right? And after an hour and a half, I got picked up. And because I'd waited so long, I broke the rules. I didn't have a chat with him. I didn't establish whether or not he was dodgy before I got in the car. Which was an error. Because he was the dodgiest human being I've ever met in my entire fucking life. I got in and I went, "Hello, I'm Andrew," and he went, "Steve." this and that. Oh, it's dodgy, isn't it? Any job description involving that body movement is just fucking inherently dodgy. What do you do for a living? Oh, you know, High Court judge. Oh, no, you know. But he was going to Newcastle, right? And that's a good 3/4 of the journey. This is a big chunk of my journey out of the way if I just stick with him. And he told me some off-colour jokes, which you do often hear when you hitchhike. You're often indulged in people's prejudices. You hear quite a lot of racism, sexism, and homophobia. Although not as much racism, sexism, and homophobia as you might hear from the average National Express coach driver. But nevertheless, he was a Geordie. He had a very strong Geordie accent. He also, in his voice, had a kind of background note of alcoholism. It wasn't that he seemed drunk, but it did seem like not being drunk was new to him. This kind of weather-beaten face, he looked like a sun-dried Craig Charles. And we get on our way, and we're putting quite a lot of road behind us, and anyone else that's hitched will know that wonderful, satisfying feeling when you get road behind you, you're getting on your way. He told me about some people he'd had beaten up, and he's clearly a sort of wannabe gangster. I didn't feel threatened by him. It felt like he'd kind of taken me under his wing, like he wanted to impress me, right? We're making quite good headway. I started to get a little bit concerned, I think, after he had his third spliff. Because one, you're sort of going, oh, I'd rather you didn't. After three, it's like, fucking hell, do you want some? No, fucking one of us has got to keep an eye on the road. Mind the dragons! It was strong stuff. We're still making good progress. He's clearly an arsehole. And he did that thing, do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? You know when people talk to you, do you know what I mean? When they talk to you, do you know what I mean? They keep asking you if you know what they mean. And when people do that, you can't break eye contact because they're checking whether you're looking and listening. And in a car, that gives you a real crick in the neck, right? So he's proving to be a literal pain in the neck. And but we're making good progress. We've covered most of the M1. We're heading towards Leeds, right? We're sort of in the outskirts of Leeds, at the top of the M1. And he goes to me, I'm going to get some food, but I'm looking after myself because I recently had a heart attack. That's not good news, is it? So we're gonna gan off the road. I'm gonna get something decent. Okay, so we're not gonna go to the service station. We're ganning off the road, and we'll find something decent to eat. And he said to me, "Don't worry," he said. "I know this area like the back of my hand." Which transpired meant, "Whose are these hands?" It's like one of those Amicus horror films, you know, the kind of ones from the late 70s, the rip-off Hammer horror. We've got Peter Cushing, he runs a sort of curiosity shop. Christopher Lee comes in and he's had his hands replaced by a surgeon with the hands of a man with no sense of fucking direction. Because from the top of the M1 at Leeds, right, in our quest for food, in an area he knows like the back of his hand, we ended up in York. Amazing, right? Don't worry. And he kept missing his turnings because he was so stoned. Don't worry, I know this area like the back of my hand. Yeah, you're wearing fucking gloves! Right, we end up in the outskirts of York. We go to this kind of gastro pub, a really sort of posh pub. It was only when I was in this pub, in the company of other people, that I fully realised just how fucking dodgy this guy was, you know? How when, because I'm quite a self-conscious person, and everyone's staring at him, you know, not in case he nicks their bag or their kids or something. And when he went to the toilet, I had an overwhelming urge to go, I'm not really with him! We're not mates! I'm a comedian! So he came back and he paid for my chips and my beer, which I thought was quite sweet of him. We got back on the road. We're literally 2 minutes down the road. He looks in his rear-view mirror and goes, "Gonna get pulled over now." Look behind me, police car, lights and siren, we get pulled over. Okay, copper comes up. "Hello there, sir. Is this your car?" And he goes, no, it's a company car, it's a company car. It's going, right, it's coming up that your car's not insured. It's going, it's company insurance. Okay, well, yeah, but if it's a delivery car, it should be still covered on insurance. No, it's company insurance. Okay, can you turn the engine off? Can I have your keys? Some of his keys. He goes, right, I need to take some details, please. I'll take your name. And Steve goes, "Pete." No, because you said, oh, shh, like opening my window, blow the smoke out like this, right? Right, okay, so he takes a few details, he goes, right, I need to check this stuff against our computer, like that bit in the Blues Brothers. But it's got commands. And State, County, Municipal Offender Data System. So, the copper goes off to check his details against the computer. Steve Pete turns to me. Goes, "I'm going to get arrested now." amazing phrase, right? He went, "I've been a naughty boy." That's not illegal, is it? I mean, I'm not a criminal lawyer, but I'm pretty sure being a naughty boy is not an arrestable offence. You know what the Tories are doing? What's that? They're making stealing pies that have been calling on the window of a bakery an arrestable offence. Oh, cracking down on naughty boys. You've got to sort out our visas for America. Oh shit, I've got a criminal record. Really? What for? Well, I once defrauded the town mayor at a local school fake tombola. Oh, naughty boy. He goes to me, I'm wanted up and down the country. I'm not a criminal. Phew! It was me worried for a minute there. Not criminal, only wanted up and down the country. Okay. I've had that denial of criminality from a criminal on another occasion. About a year ago, I was on the last train home from Birmingham, right? I don't know if any of you have ever taken it. It's a horrible train full of horrible people. This bloke decided he'd talk to me, and he's going, "I've been in and out of Nick all my life, do you know what I mean? I've done this and that, right? I've been in and out of Nick. Like, I'm not a criminal." Yes, you are. You spent half your life in prison. That is exactly what that means. I'm not a nonce, right? I'm not a child, relax. That conversation began with just the horrible kind of portent at the beginning. You probably had this yourself, and the conversation begins in a way you know you're not going to enjoy it. The first thing he said to me on that train was, "Fucking hell, she didn't want to talk to me, did she?" Oh, nor do I. Now you've sat down. I've got loads of stuff. So, Steve Meek gets arrested for, among other things, being a disqualified driver. So I had to get another lift, right? I look at the copper, he goes, "Who are you?" "I'm a comedian." "No, I'm actually am. I've got flyers. You should come to the show, right?" So I go to the other side of York, and I'm waiting at what from my map looks like the most obvious road to take me north. And I'm stood next to a cornfield. It was a beautiful sight. The sun was setting, it's kind of golden and beautiful, very filmic. There was a combine harvester going up and down the field. Now, if that had been a film, that would have been time-lapse to show just how fucking long I stood there. When you do stuff like this, when you jump yourself out of the groove of your everyday life, your life does become more filmy. You get the highs and the lows like you get in a film. Like the one time I got picked up on the way home from Manchester by an African band. Suddenly your life was a bit like a film. That was a horrible journey. London to Leeds, which is the one I normally have done, is really easy. That's the one I've done most often, because you just go straight up the M1, it's really easy. London to Manchester is that much harder, because there are more different routes you can take to get there. You can kind of go different ways around various cities. So on any given road, there's a smaller proportion of people who are making that journey. So it's really bitty. On the way there, I got several little lifts. I ended up in Coventry, got picked up in Coventry by these lads. Now, lads is the only available term to use for these guys, right? They were 17 years old. This guy just got his licence. They weren't bum fluff moustaches. There's three of them, right? Now, the guy who picked me up, the guy who was driving, he picked up a hitcher before. I think his dad used to do it, so he knew the deal. The guy next to him in the passenger seat was completely freaked out by the whole thing. So what, people just pick you up? Yeah. It's called hitchhiking. It's called what? Hitchhiking. You've not heard of it? No. And he goes, "Do you have a home?" Yeah, but I leave that behind. It's really cumbersome to fold that up into my backpack, right? And they were drinking this kind of blue alcoholic drink out of this massive bottle. They assured me all the rappers drink, like whatever. I don't think Chuck D does. And they genuinely, what they were doing, their mission statement, this is entirely a quote, right? They said to me that they were going to Blackpool to hook up with some slags. That's their exact words. These were women they'd met before as well. They'd met them before, they had come to realise they were slags on the previous visit. And if anything, that seemed to be the attraction. That was very much, they were going to go back and hope they would repeat their slaggish behaviour. They're going to slag themselves right up, these women. They were going to slag, there's going to be a lot of slagging. So, and on the way back, this is a really difficult journey, really bitty. Getting out of Manchester hitching is really tough because they're actually building hitchhiking out of the road system. You find it becomes harder and harder the way they build roads to get a lift. And I got picked up by this guy. We got into a traffic jam, which was a pain in the arse. We then, I got out of the car, went back to the kind of slip road we just passed. I got picked up by the motorway cops. Oh, fuck's sake. They come up, you're not supposed to be doing this, don't you? I'm like, well, yeah, okay, it's not illegal. Yeah, but it's dangerous on this road, we can't let you do it. Right, okay. Where are you headed to? Going to London. What do you reckon? They drove me 10 miles to the best hitching spot to get back to London. Fucking amazing. But don't tell anyone, right? So... we'll edit this out of the film and get me fired. I was then there for fucking ages in this service station. It started getting dark, it started raining. One of those filming things, I'm like looking at my watch, at least it's not raining. Then it starts raining. Then an anvil drops on my head. Jet-powered roller skates failed to work. And then some arsehole had drawn a very convincing tunnel entrance on what turned out to be a wall. I'm there, just like, oh, fuck it. And then I get picked up. You were in the film, literally cut to me in this massive minibus with this African band that had just done this World Music Festival, none of whom could speak English apart from the driver, and they didn't stop singing the whole fucking way home. This is amazing. On this particular occasion, this is my second hitch. I'm trying to get north from York. I eventually get picked up by this guy who, after the chaos of Steve Pete, was reassuringly normal. He had a beard, he was driving a Volvo, he was listening to Radio 4. House! Normality bingo. He dropped me off in a service station. And by now it was dark, so I'm starting to feel pretty pissed off myself. I didn't leave earlier, pissed off I got this lift with this nutter, and I had to go around the trucks, to go around the lorries, because people won't pick you up as they're passing when it's dark, of course they won't. So knocking on lorry windows, you going north, and most of them said no. Whether that was true or not, up to them really. They either weren't or they didn't want to take me. And I literally got to the last one, literally my last option. Knock on the window. Hello there. You go north? Yes, I am. It's a wonderful bloke, a guy called Darren. Dazza, he told me his name is. He was a Geordie. He was the most naive man I've ever met in my entire life, right? It's like the opposite of Brian. On the manliness scale, he was with me now with Brian Malco, right? He was about 22 years old, which I'm pretty sure is too young to have an HGV licence. He was the least like a truck driver of anyone that I've ever met in my life, right? And I've met ballerinas. He was the only truck driver in the country who spends more on hair product than he does on porn. No tattoos, no visible scars, no obvious addictions. Fine, you're not in the union, are you? No, they won't let me in. Okay. At the time, I was wearing a Slayer shirt. I was wearing my cut-off denim jacket with all my death metal band patches on it. Ripped jeans, my bullet belt that goes to me, do you like rock music? Yeah, I love it. Just getting into rock music myself. As though it had passed him by, right? As I went to one of them rock music festivals the other day, I couldn't believe it. Loads of bands. That's how they work, Darren. And he goes, so he was going to Newcastle, right? So I'm going to get to where I thought I was going to get to with my original crazy lift. And we keep getting on fine. It's a lovely bloke. He's opening up to me like people do when you hitch, telling me about his love life. I never know how I could talk to women. I find English works quite well. And he's got his own place. I've got my own place. It's a two up, two down. The only decent thing my dad's ever done for us, but it's mine. And it's a nice guy. He's learning the drums, learning I'm quite good. Not on the wheel, Darren will die. It's a nice bloke. We're getting on alright. He goes to me, what are you going to do when you get to Newcastle? I said, well, I'll probably just keep in the bus station. It's relatively safe and warm. He goes, I tell you what, you look like an honest fella, you can keep on my sofa. Yeah, how sweet is that, right? Now, if he'd been 1% more manly, I'd have said no, right, for fear of bumming, but there would have been absolutely no way he'd get up there. It'd be like a thing. So he's the most naive bloke I've ever met. Alright, cool. Now he goes, tell me, mate, that I live with, that you work with us, and you've been kicked out by your missus. It's clearly the code, right? Now, I didn't do that, because my Geordie accent is good enough for storytelling. It's not good enough to convince another Geordie. Why are you talking like that? Because I'm from round here. No, you're fucking not. Thank you very much, you're welcome. Shit, right? So his mate came down in the morning and I pretended to be asleep because I didn't have my forged Geordie documents. And Dan came down and to blow away any last vestige of being like a typical truck driver, he put on his tape of Emmerdale he'd taken the night before. It's entirely true, right? I never missed this show, this fella's going out with this lass, but his wife doesn't know. I'm not interested, but you're very sweet. So he drops me off at a service station. I then get picked up by a delivery driver who's a metalhead. We were talking about bands we have in common, that sort of thing, a nice guy. He dropped me off in Hoyk. Now Hoyk is about 30 miles outside of Edinburgh. It's a tiny little town. And I was determined to hitch the whole way. I was determined to hitch that last 30 miles because the previous year, when I've been dropped off in Glasgow by Brian, I found it quite difficult to get from Glasgow across to Edinburgh because Glaswegians don't like people on their way to Edinburgh, and I look like me. So there was quite a lot of fuck off! Or more accurately, fuck off! I am well used to being shouted at for my appearance. I'm a transvestite, I'm a metalhead, I'm in a steampunk band. I either dress girly, metal or Victorian, right? And men are at their most vocally observant when they're in a white van, aren't they? It's ever such a brave move. Ah! Yeah, good, thank you. Just for that. I used to skateboard to work, right, back when I was cool. And from Wallington to Sutton, it's about a sort of 2-mile journey, and on that journey, day after day, week after week, I get shouted at for being on a skateboard, but I could never hear what they were saying, because they were passing in a van. All I would hear was, ah, skateboard, and I'd catch the skateboard bit, that was always clear, but what their issue was with the skateboard was unclear, you know, and maybe I'm being judgmental, maybe they were saying, that's a lovely, you know. I've always fancied myself on her, I don't know. Being presumptuous, but day after day we go, whoa, skateboard, and I was, what the fuck are they saying? I could never hear it, could never catch it. I tried running along with them, nothing. I think that made them shout more. Then one day, it's entirely true, I was on my way to work. I used to work in Dixon's in Sutton, right, ladies? Don't look for it, it's not there anymore. It's Curry's digital. So, I was on my way to Dixon's and I'd do my Saturday job. I was holding my skateboard and I was at a red traffic light about to cross the road. This bloke pulls up in a white van and I see the process in his brain. His brain goes, I am stationary, but I am also in a white van. I'm contractually obliged to do it. So shouted at me through his open window, clear as day, ah, skateboard, so mystery solved. So I'm in Hoyk, I'm 30 miles outside of Edinburgh, I'm quite close to home, and I was determined to hitchhike the whole way, right? I was determined, because the previous journey, I'd been dropped off in the outskirts of Edinburgh, I had to get a bus, and the bus driver was an utter dick. They often are, but it's just after a day of the kindness of strangers, you know, after a day of people literally going out of their way to help me out. The bus driver, a man whose job it is to take me around for a living, you know, the man who's paid to transport people was unnecessarily rude. So I thought, fuck that, I'm not getting a bus for the glory of hitchhiking, I'm going to hitchhike the whole way. So I'm 30 miles outside of Edinburgh, with my sign saying Edinburgh, this little village called Hoyk. People are driving past going, just get the bus! I'm not going to get the bus, just get the bus! I don't want to get the bus. Kids come up to me, what are you doing? I'm hitchhiking. Just get the bus, I don't want to get the bus. How much is the bus? So I got the bus. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. But sometimes you'll find you can just get the bus. So other ways in which I've made alternative decisions, I suppose. I'm vegan. And this was one of the things that when I was in the early 90s, so the kind of mid-90s, I was getting into hardcore punk, getting into politics. And it informed my life in a lot of ways. When I started doing day jobs, I realised that I didn't want to do a day job. I didn't want to sell my hours. You know, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you have jobs you don't like, and you find that same thing where you sell 40 hours of your week, and at the end of the month, that money you get doesn't make you fully happy. I came to find that the only things that made me happy were doing stand-up, doing music, the things that I could do for free. So I wanted to live for free. I wanted to live, at least at the very least, kind of reduce my expenditure so I could concentrate on the things I was doing that made me genuinely happy. And I decided I would squat. Now, squatting isn't what the media will tell you, what the Evening Standard has been propagandising over the last year. Squatting isn't, we went on holiday and then squatters moved in. Right? That's not squatting. That is lazy burglary. That's some stoners that have lost their way on the way to the garage. You can't, it's illegal to squat a building that's occupied. That's the whole point. The Tories have changed that law, a law that stretches at least as far back as Magna Carta, because they are conservative and believe in tradition. Unbelievable. They also passed that law in 6 days. They did a consultation on squatting. They spoke to hundreds of people. They spoke to landlords, they spoke to homeowners, they spoke to homeless charities, housing associations. 96% of people responded saying there needs to be no change in the law. So the Tories went, well, we better change that then. And they passed it in 6 days. They put it in another bill, so that the major part of the bill would be debated and this bit would go through under the radar. There was a campaign against it. There was a protest organised against this change in the law. The idea was to go down to Westminster, to camp outside Westminster and to protest the law. The police said, you can't do that. Why not? Because you haven't given us 7 days' notice. They passed the law in 6 days. I know. Brilliant. Bye then. Yeah, no punchline, sorry. I think other than that, the Tories are doing an excellent job. My mother-in-law, so thin, she fails to meet the minimum weight requirement for mother-in-law joke. Europe interfering. So I wanted to squat, right? I thought squatting would be good for me. Squatting's very romantic, it's very punk rock. I thought it would teach me practical skills. I'm not very practically skilled, I don't know if that's obvious. Should we get to fix the plumbing? I'll do it! No, not Andrew. Okay. Do your makeup afterwards? Yeah, that's fine. All right. And I wanted to squat, but I couldn't squat because friends of mine kept offering me comfortable places to live for free. The pricks. So I ended up staying with my mate Alex. Now Alex is the tallest of my friends. He's the Jupiter of my friends. He's fucking enormous. He's wonderful, very understanding bloke. He's very cool. He lived at the time in Kilburn, at the top of this townhouse. He had a tiny little flat and had a steeped roof. He had a pitched roof and he could only fully stand up in the middle of it, right? He's so fucking tall, it was amazing. And he had this tiny little kitchen. Now I'm just under 6 foot, and I had to kind of crumple myself up to do the washing up. He's so enormous, right? The first time I went around there, I went, Andrew, come here. Backed into this tiny little kitchen, I went, look, watch. Don't tempt me, Frodo! I only stopped laughing last week. So to say I'm vegan, been vegan for 13 years, although I have started drinking milk. Now, this is confusing for some people, but I'll talk you through it. I was having an argument with a friend of mine. When I was writing this show, I decided I wanted to reevaluate the various moral codes I live by, one of them being vegan, as I've been vegan for a long time. And I had an argument with a mate who's vegetarian with drinking cow's milk. And I said, how can you justify drinking cow's milk? How can you justify using an animal in that way? You know what happens to them? You know, the cows are artificially inseminated, you know, the male calves get taken away for slaughter, there's death involved. How can you justify using cows in that way? He said, well, you can't compare humans and animals, Andrew, directly. He said, cows don't have the same higher brain functions as human beings. They don't appreciate art and beauty and morality and justice, that sort of thing. They don't fall in love. They're not the same as us. They're different, therefore you can't equate them. Therefore I decide I can use cows in that way. And I thought he's right. Of course he's right. That makes perfect sense. So I've started drinking milk. Not cow's milk. I've kidnapped this retarded girl. Oh, the cheese she makes is delicious. Absolutely. She's definitely thicker than a cow, though. We've done all the tests. And that makes it okay, doesn't it? It's absolutely fine. We put her in a warm room within the night garden on. She has a lovely time. She barely knows it's happening. What? Fuck off. I pasteurise it. I'm not a monster. That wasn't my to one end. And he's gaffer taped a dormouse to the other end. And now he's selling electric back to the electric company. So, oh, my uncle is a stuntman and an arc electric, he's dead. What is this? The gravy. What is this? The gravy also. Both of them. How much is this? This, my friend, for you, I give to for free, special price, my friend. How much is this? £5,000. Okay. Who made the gravy? I made the gravy, this one and this one, both of them. Okay. May I taste the gravy? No. Okay. That's one for a free. That's one £5,000. Still got your radio on? Yes, of course, you keep radio on at all times, very important. Often there are rock bands in my shop, and the noise the rock bands make is loud enough it will drown out the radio of man at back. Okay. Not used. Don't normally have quite quiet conversations like this. Not in this place, no, not normally. It's not normally a problem, my friend. Okay. This one for a free. This one £5,000. Is it the same amount of gravy? No, actually, free gravy slightly more because I broke a measuring jug this morning, so I had to make it up to the right consistency. So I think actually free gravy about twice as much as £5,000 gravy. Okay. That's one for a free. That's one £5,000. What time do you close? We close about 6:30. You have 25 minutes. Okay. I think I will go away and come back. There's no need to go away and come back. You have 25 minutes. Take your time, my friend. Take your time. No, I will go away and come back. I have to go to Hallmark Cards, get helium balloons. It's a birthday party. We do need gravy, so I will go and get helium balloons from the Hallmark Cards and then come back and decide between £3,000 and £5,000. There's no need, my friend. It's a Thursday, of course. The Hallmark Cards opens till 8 o'clock tonight, so you have an hour. You can make a decision 25 minutes and then an hour and a half you can get balloons. No, I have to go away and come back because the Hallmark Cards has a 2-for-1 offer on. No, sorry, 3-for-2 offer on helium balloons, so we don't need 3. But you don't need 26. But they might run out. I will go away, I will get helium balloons and come back and... I mean, if you want the helium balloon, I've got an extra spare one you can have. But I will go away and then I will make a decision when I'm out. No, no need to go away, my friend. You will make a decision now, you will not... It's an excuse, you will go away, I will not see you again. Of course, if you do not want to tell me you don't want my gravy, it's okay. No, I do need gravy. It's a birthday party, of course we need gravy. But I cannot decide between £3,000 and £5,000. And I actually find that the purchasing of helium balloons helps me to make condiment-based decisions. So I will go away, I will buy helium balloons, of course, and I will come back. I mean, if you want one, fine, I'll give your initial. If not, we will use it as an exclamation mark. 26. you know. I will make a decision on the way out. No, you will not go away and come back. I know it's an excuse to leave the shop. Look, seriously, I need gravy. Where else am I to buy gravy today? You fucking kidding me? This is the gravy district. 27 gravy shops under one covered roof, of course. You'll buy gravy elsewhere. Of course, it's International Gravy Week. We have 48 international gravy sellers outside the district in a German-style market. Of course, you will buy gravy elsewhere. No, I definitely want one of these, but cannot decide between £3,000 and £5,000. So I will simply go away. I will buy helium balloons. I will be back before you close. I will buy one of these. I cannot currently make a decision. No. No. You will not go away! You will not go away and come back. You make a decision now! You make a decision now. You are a man, huh? I am man. We are men. Not children. Not crying women. Men. This, my friend, is gravy. Gravy is there to be conquered, not feared. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. New play I've written. It's called Gravy. I've got a theme tune. In the old East End they call it Royal Navy. In the North they refer to it as Bristow, because they like brand names. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the alternative decisions I've made in my life, the veganism, the transvestism, the hitchhiking, that sort of thing, they're not necessarily for you, right? I'm not trying to preach to you that you should be more like me, because who fucking wants that? Not me. But your lives are your own. This is the only thing I want you to take away from the show, is that your lives are your own. You have agency. You have the ability to turn your lives into something wonderful. And I really want you to do that. If you've got a shit job, leave it. If you're in a relationship you don't like, get out of it. Just make your life something wonderful. Make your life the sort of thing people would want to make films out of, because this is your only chance. Your life is happening now. You are going to die. Sorry, but see, I used to put that at the beginning of the show and people just walked out. But you are going to die, and for most of us rational people, we know that when you die, that's it, and so do something amazing with your life. Do it now. You don't need to be alternative in the ways I've suggested. You can be alternative in much smaller ways. You can start telling people the truth about their kids. Your son's a bit of a prick, isn't he? He's free! Oh, I've caught it early, Every chance we can nip it in the bud, but currently he's got a 3-year-old bellend for a son. You can shave off your pubic hair, give it to a child. There you go, Jimmy, stick that on, you get served in pubs. Ladies, you go into church during a Sunday service, dress really slutty, and go, what? Jesus liked whores! Signor O'Neill, you have two choices. Either you confess, and we let your friends go, or you do not confess, we kill your friends, and then torture you to obtain a confession. What is it to be? No, I've got nothing. You can come up with your own games. I came up with a game for the Nintendo Wii. It's called Guitar Villain. And it's pretty what it is. You get a real guitar. What you have to do is fucking learn how to play it! You can reverse the wrong way down a one-way street. And then if the police pick you up, just go, legally, nothing they can do. You can be alternative with food without being vegan or vegetarian. You can just eat food in alphabetical order. You know, apples, bananas, cupcakes, dog biscuits, engine parts, flies, gravy, H from steps, the abstract concept of ignorance, jam sandwiches, ketamine. There are no foods beginning with L. Pardon? Lettuce is technically a sauce. Lentils are a drink. Lychees are technically a stock. Mangoes, nuggets, oops, that's apostrophe O, Heinz spaghetti oops. In the north of England. Pringles, Quorn hog roast. Because Quorn are so keen to sell their stuff to meat eaters, they start giving it the capacity to feel pain! Meat eaters, are you worried that your healthy option doesn't come with enough guilt? Well, don't worry. Here at Quorn, for every sausage we sell, we punch a boy! Rolled oats, Stonehenge flavoured crisps. Only available at the Stonehenge gift shop. Travel Scrabble. Delicious on the way in. Uncomfortable at best on the way out. You really feel every letter. E-N-O-H-P-O-L-Y. Fuck, it's an X. Oh shit. Xylophone! Ultraviolet Mary, VW Beetle, wasps, X-Files themed birthday cake, you, and
Zoophilia.
Hey, what are you doing? You pretend to be me again?
Yeah. I was
I was making a video of your fake moon landing for my show.
Why don't you use my moon landing for your show?
Because, to be honest, though, it's just not very good.
I didn't have a moustache in the 60s.
Yeah, we've got one now, haven't you? I thought it'd be funny. It would look like I'm pretending to be you.
And you got the moon captain badge on the wrong side.
Right, is that a thing?
Yeah, this is a thing. You've got to do it right.
Right. Sorry.
And I did meet the Beatles.
You didn't meet the Beatles.
I did meet the Beatles.
Okay.
Did you cover my car in tinfoil?
Yeah, a bit. Yeah.
Or can you take it off because we want to go out?
Okay. Right, sorry. I'll take it off. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Dad! Turns out he's a far better comic actor than I've ever imagined. So, ladies and gents, I've seen fucking tons of bands in this venue. I saw Fear Factory and Biohazard once. Is John here? John Atkins, are you here? No, he couldn't make it. He was drunk. But the stage dive off the stage and hit my head on that floor, which hurt quite a lot. And then I looked up and John went over and went on his back and got up and couldn't see. He's all right now. Right, sure. I thought that was funnier than you did. John falling over is generally a very funny thing to watch. But basically, about 12 or 13 years ago, I was watching Sick of It All here, back when Sick of It All used to do 2 shows at the garage back to back rather than doing a bigger show elsewhere. And I was thinking about doing comedy, and I stood there watching them, and I looked at this room and I thought, one day I want to play here. Now, the thing about that story, ladies and gents, is it's a complete lie. Never even occurred to me to play here. What the fuck? I'm a comic, not a band. But it's been genuinely fucking wonderful. You've been a wonderful audience. Thank you very much for coming. This is the last show of this tour. This is the last time I'll ever perform this show. You've been a delightful audience. Thank you very much indeed for coming. Thank you very much. If you've enjoyed what I do, spread the word about what I do, because I'm apparently literally officially too weird to get on Live with the Apollo, so fuck that, let's do an underground thing. But yeah, spread the word, and we'll do this again sometime. Thank you very much indeed.